Hey, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Jessica Blum here, joining you into the 1011 streaming studio for a live update on the weather forecast today. You probably already know it is not a good day outside. To be outside in the rain, the wind, the gray day we have again today, really the most widespread rain we were waiting on to happen early today and throughout the day today. And you're seeing out there early this morning. But if you're like me, you're lagging a little bit this morning because of maybe a late World Series game last night. Couldn't believe that. 18 innings. Well, tied the longest one in history, but we are going right into the weather and what we've seen so far in the last 24 hours across the state. A lot of widespread rain from southwest, central into eastern Nebraska, at least a tenth of an inch for many locations. Grand Island up to a quarter of an inch or so over the last 24 hours. Closing in on a half inch in Holdridge, but again, rains are moving out of central Nebraska and really going to linger into eastern and far eastern Nebraska for the rest of the day today. But Lincoln Airport up over 3/10 of an inch. Let's look at some other rainfall totals here so far today across Lincoln. A lot of us up over a quarter of an inch or so, or at 3/10 of an inch. Some on the southwest side of town, closer to 4/10 of an inch so far. As you look toward Denton, really in some of those areas early today. But yeah, it is cloudy, it is gray, it is a dreary kind of fall day out there as you look at our area cameras, especially in Lincoln and Omaha, seeing those gray skies, some sun trying to poke out in Grand Island, and North Platte kind of on the edge of some more of the sunshine in western Nebraska as these clouds will kind of slowly clear from west to east over the course of the next day or two. We'll see some sunshine, I think, poke out by the second day of tomorrow. I know a lot of us may be waiting on some of that after some gray days around here as of late. But upper 40s right now. We did see temperatures in the lower 50s this morning. That may do it for a high temperature here in Lincoln. Temperatures kind of expected to slip with this rain in the area throughout the day today, even into the afternoon. So what would normally be a typical day warming up through the afternoon, we're not so much going to see because the winds are going to stay strong, if not get a little stronger into the afternoon, being on the wake of this disturbance and in the wake in the backside of the cold front that has now pushed through much of the state. But it feels like 41 degrees. Again, that wind chill is going to be a factor today with those northerly winds picking up. We've got sustained wind at the Lincoln Airport out of the north to northwest around 21 miles per hour. Gusts closing in on 30 miles per hour already, and I'm only expecting those wind gusts to get a little stronger throughout this afternoon. Dew point has slipped a little bit from what I saw this morning. It was in the 50s, now in the middle 40s, but yes, still a lot of rain in eastern Nebraska we'll look at here in a second. Temperatures into the 9 o'clock hour range from the 30s to the 40s to the 50s. Some hanging on to the 50s along the Missouri River. Omaha's at 51, Nebraska City's at 51, but you notice below freezing in Scottsbluff and Sidney at 9:03. The 24-hour temperature change is significant, again being in the wake of this cold front. A lot of us in central and western Nebraska are 10 to 15, almost 20 degrees colder than this time yesterday. It was brutal wake-up call, I think, for some of us that hopefully were expecting the rain to come today, and you've brought the rain gear with you to work and to school because you'll need it even on the way home tonight and maybe for Halloween festivities across the area this evening. This Halloween week starts out wet, but by Halloween day, we will dry out later this week. But noticeably, look at these winds strong out of the north to northwest across the state, 15 to 25 miles per hour sustained at this hour with gusts approaching 20 and 30 miles per hour. I think wind gusts could approach 40 to 45 miles per hour later on. Satellite and radar, pretty active across the state and really over the last 24 hours as this band of rain has continued to move to the east. And you notice, yes, maybe a few flurries trying to show up on radar in the panhandle, those kind of fizzling out over the last few hours, but maybe a flake or two still out there just to the south of Scottsbluff. But Lincoln, Omaha, along I-80, seeing that light to moderate rainfall for several hours now. There's another band you can see on radar trying to flare up a little bit between York and Fairbury on the backside, but that has since come down as well. So this light to moderate rainfall is expected to kind of continue for far eastern Nebraska for much of the afternoon, especially in Omaha. Soaker of a day for several hours, but here in Lincoln we'll kind of be on the edge of this. I am going to quickly switch over to the GOES infrared satellite imagery to show you what's going on with the tropics. We touched on this briefly yesterday, but this is what's being talked about by all national news networks and our shows as well. This is the most powerful storm we've seen on the planet in in 2025. Melissa, strong Category 5 hurricane, just a powerful GOES infrared satellite imagery loop to see over the last few hours as this expansive storm has convection all the way into Central America, too. And I wanted to zoom in to show you that landfall is imminent. It hasn't happened quite yet, but over the last few scans, you can see it is getting closer and closer to Jamaica on that southwestern side of the island, and is set to make landfall really in a matter of maybe an hour or so. So the most powerful winds are about to move on to the island. In terms of impacts, we're expected to still see about 20 to 40 inches of rainfall in the high terrain of Jamaica, and then strong major hurricane winds to last for a while over the island, with storm surge maybe possibly as high as 13 feet. So as this makes landfall as a Category 5, you can also see some of the current conditions for Melissa there on the top banner there. It's moving to the north and northeast at about 7 miles per hour, so it has, I won't say sped up a little bit, but in terms of yesterday and the day before, it was only moving at 3 miles per hour. Now it's starting to pick up a little bit in speed as it's getting picked up by the upper level pattern. The pressure, namely, has dropped down below 900 millibars. That's what helps make it seem like one of the strongest storms. Third strongest. Bill's next to me right now, and he's giving me tips. That is tied for the third strongest hurricane in the Atlantic Basin in history. So we've been keeping a close eye on that, and he's my guy for all the facts to keep us posted on this impressive storm, because we've already talked about this morning how this should just be right in the textbooks as it is right now, making landfall in Jamaica. It is expected to move on to Cuba later this week, really still as a Category 4 hurricane with the latest models and the latest track, and then continue on through the central Bahamas before continuing to the north and northeast into the Atlantic Ocean. I think we'll still see impacts along the east coast, but no landfall expected, just rip currents and rough surf, I think, through the end of this week. So bringing it back home, talking about this rain, of course, that's impactful for us here at home in eastern Nebraska. This is Skycast, our latest HER models this morning, mid to late morning, to show you rain still out there from a line from about Columbus down to York and maybe Fairbury or Holdridge, or excuse me, Hebron areas, and then that's going to slowly meander east. But Omaha, again, soaker of a day into this afternoon. Lincoln kind of the edge on some of that light to intermittent rain, but then the Tri-Cities are really on the edge of the cloud cover altogether. So everyone across the state going to experience a little something different today, even though with some of the sunshine in western Nebraska is going to be a chilly day with those strong northerly winds across the state. Strongest winds, though, with this rain in eastern Nebraska before the rain will kind of dwindle statewide, really for far eastern Nebraska, seeing it throughout the day today by early tomorrow morning, and the winds are going to be slow to taper off tomorrow morning. So over the next 12 hours, here's a look at your precipitation chances. Greatest over the next few hours into the early afternoon, then slowly tapering off this evening and tonight. So really, the rain gear and the windshield wipers are expected to continue to get a workout throughout the day today. And then hour by hour, wind speeds compared to those wind gusts, those getting stronger, sustained around 25 miles per hour through much of the afternoon and evening time frame, and then those wind gusts peaking maybe around 40, 45 miles per hour. Wouldn't be surprised to see that this evening and tonight, and even into early tomorrow morning as the rain is last to move out across southeast Nebraska. So your forecasted highs today, we may have already seen some of these numbers. Namely, here in Lincoln, we were at 52 degrees this morning. Models showing that we may try to get there again this afternoon, but that depends on how much rain moves out of Lincoln, or if we continue to sit on that edge and see some of that rain through this afternoon, keeping us cooler in the 40s and those north winds making it feel that much chillier for what it feels like outside. Low temperatures tonight are going to fall fast, especially out in the panhandle with clear skies, down to the teens. A hard freeze down to 15 degrees in Alliance, 16 in Scottsbluff, 18 in Sydney. Meanwhile, with some of the cloud cover still tonight, I think we'll still see lows in the 40s from Lincoln on east toward the Missouri River. High temperatures for Wednesdays, we get closer to Halloween, still look quite similar. It's going to take some time to, again, see those winds relax through the day tomorrow and those clouds to exit the area. So similar temperatures really in eastern Nebraska for a high that we've seen today, but likely, again, we already saw that high temperature today, so may feel Yeah, a little warmer tomorrow, especially nice to see some sunshine. I think the sunset we'll see on Wednesday. Forecasted low temperatures going into Thursday morning, the second to last day in October. Will fall down maybe below freezing here in Lincoln that night. A frost, if not a hard freeze, in central and southwestern Nebraska for some of those areas back to North Platte. And then Thursday afternoon, warming a little bit more, closer to 60 degrees. That'll look like, I think, one of the more comfortable days going forward, and the wind shouldn't be too bad toward that day as well. So as we round out our live stream here this morning, you're taking a look at the 7-day forecast. Again, cool today, cool tomorrow, windy today. The breeze coming down, I think, a bit for the end of this week. And then the Husker game does look cool as well. We are going to fall back by an hour on Sunday. Remember that, because the sunset's going to get a little earlier, as will the sunrise, and temperatures are going to moderate a little bit more next week, closer to average in the 60s. But you have been taking a look at the forecast with me from the 1011 Severe Weather Center in the streaming studio. In the meantime, you can always get the latest hour-by-hour forecast, radar, and alerts anytime in the 1011 Weather app or online. Thanks for watching.